Good morning, my name is Alain Vidal. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships of the CGIAR Consortium based in Montpellier in France.
Where is the evidence that social protection programs are effective?
Well, one of our centers, the IFPRI, the International Food Policy Research Institute, analyzed social protection schemes in the developing world in a recent report that showed that social protection was one of 4 key interventions that has had significant impact on reducing hunger and undernutrition. Other key interventions were economic and agricultural growth, nutrition interventions, and appropriate legislation and policies to support food security strategies. IFPRI has also carried out studies to find out whether cash, food, or food vouchers are more effective. And in some cases, cash has proved the most effective as it allows people to diversify their diets. Unfortunately, in other cases, people who received cash bought nutritionally poor grains and they were the cheapest. So the answer is not that simple.
So, how can farmers be protected from the effects of climate change?
Well, climate change is one of the biggest threats to our food supply and likely to be the cause of natural disasters and changes in weather patterns that will leave the poorest people in need of protection schemes. In CGIAR, we already know how we can protect farmers from climate change, and in the past years we have developed and documented methods and techniques that are being adopted now already by millions of farmers. For example, adapted crop varieties such as drought-tolerant maize, agricultural practices that provide better resilience such as agroforestry, crops combination or agroecology, and of course social protection mechanisms such as index-based microinsurance, which are already touching millions of farmers in Asia and in West Africa.
Is it going to be possible to curb agriculture-related GHG emissions by 2030?
Well, absolutely, if we adopt the proper means. And I think this is a moral obligation. Our food production system, which includes agriculture, livestock and deforestation, today is responsible for 24% of greenhouse gases emissions. And because other sectors are progressively committing towards reducing their emissions, our simulations show that under a business-as-usual scenario, our food production system would represent around 50% of greenhouse gases emission by 2050. So not only on our new strategy, we committed to reduce agriculture-related greenhouse gases emission by 15% in the developing world, but we're also exploring 2 main streams to reduce those emissions. One is halting carbon release from agriculture and forested soils, but going beyond, focusing on soils and sequestrating carbon into soil through agricultural practices such as agroforestry and agroecology. And we think this could really help move agriculture from being part of the problem to part of the solution. And we are working with the French government on a large initiative called 4 pour 1000 that will be launched during COP21. The other big stream is reducing the emissions from livestock production for meat and for milk production. We know it's an important contributor to agricultural emissions, and I was earlier this week in Kenya, in Nairobi, visiting our new Mazingira Center at ILRI, our International Livestock Research Institute, which is exploring this key issue, because those emissions are the largest greenhouse gases emission in Africa, but also livestock production represent 40% of the agricultural GDP of the region. And they are exploring new methods there, which to drastically reduce those emissions through enhanced pasture management, through improved cattle feed to limit manure emissions, and also to increase livestock productivity, so as to limit enteric fermentation rate by kilogram of meat or by liter of milk produced.